episode 2.
Episode 2. You know what? I heard a stat on Instagram this morning.
What's that?
That the average podcast does not go more than 10 podcasts. And there's over 300...
You mean 10 episodes?
10 episodes, excuse me. And then there's 3 million podcasts, like links, names, but only 300,000 are active.
Oh, well, look at that.
So we just got to get past 10.
It might be 300,001.
Yeah.
300,001. Yeah. Watch out.
Episode
All right.
2.
Here we go. Growing kids God's way.
God's way.
What is that?
Change the game for us.
What is that? Yeah.
How we discovered it, or what is it?
Well, both.
Both. I discovered it. We're at a friend's house for like a little Bible study, and they had 3 kids, and they told them to go to bed. And they all got up, brushed their teeth, and about 10 minutes later, I'm walking down the hallway to go to the restroom, and they're like 2 of them are sitting in bed, just like they're like just
waiting.
Yeah, waiting. I'm like, how did you do that? And the guy goes, "Growing kids God's way." And I was like, I think we need that. And so we were talking about having kids, and we were in church one day, and the pastor said they're going to start Growing Kids God's Way Bible study, so we did it.
Yeah, it's 18 weeks. It was intense, but it was definitely a game changer. And I feel like the first portion of the Bible study really focuses on building the marriage and setting healthy routines there, and just a good example of what it looks like to lead your children, and it's not necessarily about, pounding church into them or scripture after scripture. It's leading by example and really what that looks like. And the focus there for our family is to build a relationship with God, not because we tell you, but because you feel that. And I know that for our kids, we have a 9-year-old, 4-year-old, and a 10-month-old. And our 9-year-old is just so passionate about her faith and building that relationship with God. And I think for Matea, her sweetheart is so tender because she is so passionate about life and people. She has this compassion for people that is, honestly, I feel like effortless and so sweet. And I think it really stems from her relationship with God. And our 4-year-old, everything Big Sister does, she wants to do also. And I love that Matea, being the oldest, has really stepped into that leadership role for her siblings also to build that relationship with God. And that's just really special to see as a parent, and foster those relationships as they grow and evolve, because they constantly are changing. And I feel like in the 18-week study, we pulled so many great things out of it. And we've now done it 3 times. We led it once and then took it ourselves 3 times. And in that, each time we pulled out different things that were relevant in our life at that time that we maybe didn't see in the time before last or whatever. And I feel like even we're due to do it again, because now we're at a whole different level with now, emotions escalating and maturing and just handling that dynamic of parenting very differently too. And we're in a household full of girls. So there's a lot of estrogen.
Lot of estrogen. And also, if you do Growing Kids God's Way, don't let the outdated videos get you. They're actually kind of funny, though.
That styles came back and gone like multiple times now.
That is true. It's
timeless.
Pleated khakis, a lot of that, a lot of starch iron, all that stuff. But
even if you don't do the study, it's so worth reading the book. And we're not readers, but that was something that kept us engaged. And I mean, we did the full 18 weeks both times, or 3 times. Yeah. So it was good. But yeah, I want to use examples referencing the study, but also in our day-to-day parenting. It's not all rainbows and butterflies. Don't even think we're trying to be up here and lead you to believe something it's not. But for us, we really feel like instilling these biblical, godly morals in our children are, I feel like more powerful when we lead them by example. And one thing we do in our household, we call it family dinner. We actually stopped going to church on Sundays a while back, and for no other reason other than that is our one day of rest in our family. It's the one day that we are all home together and really focus on, having a day of rest. And I think for us, it was important to protect that time. As much as we love church, we love our church and going to church, we really needed a day off to just reset and refresh. And Mark has his routine on Sundays. He goes and runs the stadiums with his boys, and the girls and I have couch time in the morning till he gets home, and then Sundays are kind of just our family day, and that's a good focus for us. But Sunday evenings, we host a family dinner in our backyard, and it can range from 10 people to 45 people. It really just depends on who's in town and who's available, and the kids run amok and just have time together, and Mark cooks tacos. And what is your favorite part about family dinner? Do you feel like it's helping in growing our kids in the way that we want them to be led, I guess?
We have about 40 to 50 people over, and it's like all walks of life, and we invite new people over every week. And so our kids get to meet other people and adapt and do those things. And we just come together before dinner and pray. We all hold hands in a big circle, and the kids look forward to it. And it's one of those things that we hope as parents that when they get older, they always do those things, and they remember all the Sunday dinners that we were all hanging out. And it was funny as we have a good mixture of kids with boys and girls, and so they all get along, and we all kind of parent the same. And so it's just cool to see that, and the different people that we invite and get to know. And it's just kind of cool to break bread that way, because a lot of people don't go to church and that kind of thing, so they kind of get a little church at the Gentry house.
Yeah, for sure. And, in 2020, when church kind of were shut down, really. We were fortunate enough to have this beautiful orchard to host church in, and we did that about every other week during the summertime, and it was something our family looked forward to. And even friends who didn't attend church regularly, they would come and just fellowship and be in community with us, and I felt like that was so healthy for us at that time, living in such an unhealthy world. Mm-hmm. And creating that stability and consistency for our kids. We can tell them all day long, do this, this, and this, or you don't do this, this, and this. But if we're not leading them by example, it goes in one ear and out the other. But when we live it and create that connection with them, that's something that people tell me all the time, like how they enjoy watching Matea worship. And she doesn't care who is in the room. That girl can get down in a cafeteria, in the backseat of the car, in the shower. She is happy to sing to God, and at any time or place or in front of any audience, she really is just so content building that relationship with God. And I think that's something so sweet about her that I love, and you just feel it from her. It's not something she has to tell you. It's just a presence of God that you feel.
She definitely doesn't fake it.
No, that's for
real.
Sure. Yeah. But then she also tells you exactly how she feels if she needs to, and building these confident personalities, raising women is so important. I remember on Mother's Day, my mom hugged Mark and said, just think, Mark, you brought 3 more mothers into the world, potentially 3 more mothers into the world. And he's like, wow. That's right. I did do that. Like if we had anything to do with it. But really, it's a good way to think of it. Like, everything God places in your life is on purpose. And what you choose to do with it is a choice. And also a choice to ignore the responsibility if you want. I feel like we live in a world that it's so easy to not parent. Dismiss.
Guilty.
Yeah, dismiss parenting with an iPad or entertainment or whatever it may be, instead of really getting down at their level and making the effort. And we are all guilty of it, because it's easy to, pacify them with something else. But for us, it's making a conscious effort to be present and be available, right?
No, I agree. I mean, the easiest thing to do nowadays is put on like the TV or, iPads and those kind of things. It was actually the other night we got home kind of late, and the baby was crying and Sayla was crying and all that. And I told Bree, I was like, I don't want to parent right now. Like, I do not want to do this.
Check out.
Yeah, check out. And I was like counting down the minutes until they went to bed. But, it's so easy. But at the same time, these days go by so fast. And they say in Growing Kids God's Way, the first 5-6 years are the most important, because that's when they learn all the morals and why they should and shouldn't do something. And so you kind of look at the, Coda's 10 months and Sayla's 4 years, and, a couple more years, and they're going to kind of have their own personality, or they already have the personalities, but they're going to have their own things of what they believe in and how they believe it. So it's very important to pour into your kids right now.
Well, and it's not just molding their minds. You can tell a child no. No is actually an answer, I believe, in our household. It's like, no, don't touch the remote. It's no. Coda, we're not going to touch the remote because this can hurt you. These batteries can hurt you. This is not for Coda. And then just deflecting and teaching her for what is for Coda. And so it's not like the answer is no, it's we're going to do this instead, and teach her heart to know that it is not for her and not tell her no, and I think that's overused. I see all the time just in interacting with other parents. And, if you tell your kid no, I'm not saying you're a bad parent. I'm saying that it's easy to do that rather than get at their level and teach them and train their heart so that when you're not looking, they know, no, that's not for me. Not because you're there telling them, but because their heart is trained, Yeah,
that was the big one in Growing Kids God's Way. They had two examples of one kid was running around in church, and the parents said, just stop doing that. Stop. And the other kid was running around church, and the parents said, stop, because you're going to hit someone or you might trip and fall. So they explained the
why.
Yeah, the why of it. And so that's probably the biggest thing for me as a man, because you just want to say, no, stop. And so they also believe in Growing Kids God's Way to not baby-proof anything, because you have to get on their level and tell them why they're not supposed to open the cabinet, why they're not supposed to do that. It takes a little bit more time, but it is pretty amazing. As they get a little older, they don't touch anything. They don't open the cabinets. They kind of know why they shouldn't do something.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like going to a friend's house. Oh, do I need to put up the candle or this or that? It's like, well, we have candles in our house. I wouldn't say you need to go and rearrange your house because my children are here.
Yeah.
And that is important to me. Now, when other children come to our house, we're like, move all the glass.
Yeah. That's why we don't have anything expensive in our house.
It's right.
Everything can be broken.
Yeah, it can all be replaced. It's very livable. But I think it's good. And, Matea, we used to live on a busy street. And I remember one example so clearly of something went into the street. Let's just say it was a ball. I don't remember what it was. And she walked up to the sidewalk running excited. And she pumped the brakes so quick at the edge of the sidewalk and looked back and waited for me. I didn't have to say, no, stop right there. She knew. I mean, no cars were coming, so it was fine. But she turned and looked at me and waited for my go ahead before she even stepped her foot into the gutter. And obviously I was there with her, and we, brought the ball or whatever back. But it just was like a moment of like, oh, yes, it's working. She's hearing us. She's seeing what we're teaching her, and she's actually utilizing it in her everyday life in the little moments, even when we don't think so. And that could be something that could have ended very differently for us had she not stopped, And so it just was, I think, positive feedback for me to see, okay, she really is getting it, And it's worth getting down on their level or on your knee and teaching them about the remote and why it could hurt them or whatever, And just training their heart to be obedient. It says the first way you teach your child to obey is teaching them to sleep. Coda is very defiant at 10 months old, not sleeping. But our other two were great sleepers, and they still are great sleepers, which I'm so thankful for, because you need that as parents, So, yeah, I feel like that's powerful.
Bree was in the hospital sleep training our babies, and the nurse was like, what are you doing? Bree's like, I have to go back in 10 days to work, so they need to sleep. And Bree is probably the best sleep queen. Can get the kids down, man. It's pretty amazing.
No.
But it works, but you just got to stay on top of it.
Yeah, totally. And you need that as a parent to refresh. And also right now in our life, we're making a conscious effort to have 30 minutes at the end of our day together. And to do that, it's organizing the circus to go to sleep so that we can get that. And it's hard. There's some days where we're like, okay, we failed, we didn't make it. But the days that it does work, and, we look forward to that too so much as a couple. So I think that's important. And one thing we do with our children, and they look forward to it, is we pray with them. Every time we get on a road trip, when we're in the car and on the freeway, we pray for a safe trip there and a safe trip home. And they all know it's coming. It's almost like if we don't pray soon enough, they're like, Mom, aren't you going to pray? Yeah, we are. before we go to bed every night, we pray. Before dinner, before, big things, it's exciting, but we also want to acknowledge why we're doing this. And, putting God in everything that we do is important to us as a family, and building those, I don't want to say even habits, but like life routine is very important,
I like looking at it as like small wins every day, you know, and that's what I kind of live by getting up every morning at a certain time and, eating breakfast, going to the gym, doing those things. And that's kind of like with our kids too. It's like small wins every day are going to add up to big things in the future, and doing like the little things, like praying, going on dates, taking time, those kind of things that they're going to remember and they're going to do for a long time. And hopefully they'll be better for it.
Absolutely. And I think too, going through the Growing Kids God's Way and not only having the background in health and fitness that you do, it was really important to us to instill healthy habits with our children's eating routines too, and that can change the game for them. If it's a zoo day and we're all over the place and they eat junk here and there, they act like that too. They act like crap, and so there's a lot of times we're like, oh, we got to get on top of it. They can't have this or this, and usually it comes from Poe took them on an adventure to get a Slurpee, and then Grandma didn't know they did that, so she gave them this or whatever, and it's like all these things add up. At the end of the day, they wonder why they feel like crap, and we know. So our kids are pretty good. If you put, carrots and cucumbers in front of them and a fruit roll-up, they will want the good food just as much as they want the fruit roll-up, So, I mean, those are things that I think they also, too, know. Like, sometimes they'll just tell me, Mom, I think I need something healthy. It's like, yeah, I think you do, too. Yeah. But, I mean, that comes from us leading by example and eating those things, too, ourselves.
I think that's, for me, making myself the number one asset, meaning taking care of myself, which then takes care of my marriage and then takes care of my kids. And I think a lot of parents get trapped and they're like, well, I'll take care of myself as soon as my kids get older or they get back in school, whatever it might be. And it's like, you always have to put yourself as the priority, and then your marriage and then your kids come third. I know it sounds really bad, but to make yourself the best you can be, the best parent to show up, the best business owner, the best husband, you have to put yourself first. And a lot of people I see, they put their kids first, right? And that kind of hurts them in a lot of ways.
Yeah, no, and I think going back to the couple that introduced us to this study, I remember him point blank just telling me, do not forget, they are a guest in your home, and one day they're going to leave, and you're going to need to know what to do.
Yeah, I was like, that's kind of harsh.
I know, and I thought, oh my God, we are raising them up to leave us, and it's hard to believe, but it's so true. You want to create that independence so that the moments that you're not there, they're still just as strong of people,
Yeah.
It's important. So anyways, we don't do it all right, and we're still learning as we go, and there's been hard lessons we've had to take away from just being in the moment and making the wrong choice. But, really knowing we're doing it together and we're making the best effort that we can to raise them in the way that we want them to live. We can only do that by leading by example. And so, breaking bread and growing kids God's way and family dinners and, prayer, those are all important things to us to help build that biblical moral character. And, somebody said something to me, like the greatest, testimony of one's life is the legacy they leave behind, which live through their children. And I recently lost a friend of mine lost her mom, and she's a mother of 3 daughters. And that hit really close to home for me because I am one of 3 daughters. I have a brother also, but my mom is a mother of 3 daughters. I myself am a mother of 3 daughters. And my calling is so important as their mother. And when my friend lost her mom, it just hit me so hard that one day that will be me, or one day I may be the one to leave my 3 daughters. And I want to make sure that what I leave them with are these life lessons that will continue on when I'm not going to be there to hold their hand, So, yeah, it's been kind of a weird few months for me living with that heavy on my heart. But I can tell you, it's making me show up more as a parent.
Yeah.
I
feel like little things in life always make you kind of snap out of it. And, if it's a death in the family or something happens, a sickness, it kind of this is pretty short. I remember my dad telling me maybe maybe like 2 years ago that he's like, I've only got like 10, 15 good more years left. I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, I'm 66 years old. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, yeah. And you realize like, that's, 10 birthdays and 10 Christmases. And you're like, man, like you got to really enjoy the time that you have with your kids, your parents, everyone, because man, it could be gone today. And so I think that's my biggest takeaway from the kids being young, and you sometimes you sometimes can't wait till they get older and be on their own and those kind of things, and then you're like, wait a minute, just kind of enjoy these moments. Like our middle's learning how to swim, and she always wants our help, and it's kind of sometimes you're like, no, I'm good, but then you're like, hey, like this is gonna last maybe one summer, and enjoy this, and then she'll never need your help again.
I hate to say that. Yeah, it's true. Well, they're good people, and I feel incredibly blessed that God chose us to be their people, and so every day we pray God's protection and grace over them, because we're not doing it all right, but we're figuring it out as we go, right?
Yep. For me, it's very hard sometimes because, you want to be like a little selfish in the sense of like you want to do like what you want to do, and a lot of times your kids kind of put you in check in that aspect. Right, you're always in a hurry, and your kids forgot their shoes or they're arguing or whatever it might be, and so just kind of just knowing that this is all for a bigger purpose, and that we are raising 3 humans to lead one day and be a great example, and so that's what I got to keep in the forefront of my mind.
That's right. Well, I think that's a wrap for episode 2, and just a glimpse of the parenting that we do behind the scenes and in front of the scenes, because, I think it's important to make those connections and help them grow.
If you ever see us out and our kids are arguing, that's not us. And so that never happens. So, no, I'm joking. But yeah, so thank you for tuning in, and come back for podcast number 3.
Three.
Tres.
All right.